When you run too fast in life, you never have the time to ask yourself, where am I really going? I learned that lesson at a heavy price. Hello, and thank you for being here. This is the very first episode of this journey, and today I want to share with you the story of the day I chose to slow down. At 25, I lived like a train with no brakes. I was so busy that I couldn't even remember the last time I sat down for a quiet breakfast. My schedule was a never-ending chain. Work, deadlines, networking events, and goals I created just to prove my worth. People around me kept saying, you need to go faster. Don't get left behind. Speed is everything. And I believed them. I believed that if I didn't run, I would lose. If I didn't push harder, people would look down on me. So I kept chasing milestones that in the end never truly made me feel enough. One morning I woke up with a heavy body. My hands were shaking, my heart was racing, and my head was filled with what felt like hundreds of voices all arguing at the same time. I looked in the mirror and no longer recognized myself. What I saw was a pale face, tired eyes, and a mind that could only think, what's next? What's next? That was the day I hit my limit. And the most painful part wasn't the physical exhaustion. It was the emptiness inside. I no longer felt like I was living for myself. I used to think success meant being the first to cross the finish line. But the truth is, real success is knowing when to stop. In that moment, I realized I needed to slow down. Not because I wanted to give up, but because I wanted to truly live. I wanted to know if one day there were no more races, no more shiny standards to chase, what would I still have left? Who was I? And what did I truly want? That was the moment my journey into slowing down began. Slowing down didn't magically solve all my problems overnight, but it changed the way I began to look at life. At first it felt strange. I wasn't used to pausing. I wasn't used to silence. I was so addicted to movement, to progress, that the idea of doing nothing made me feel guilty. But little by little I tried. I allowed myself small pauses, a short walk without my phone, a quiet cup of tea before rushing into the day, a few minutes just breathing, doing absolutely nothing. And something unexpected happened. In those small pauses, I started to notice life again. I noticed the morning sunlight spilling across the floor. I noticed the sound of rain tapping gently on the roof. I noticed the weight and warmth of simple conversations with people I cared about. These things had always been there, but I had been too fast, too distracted, too focused on chasing the next step to ever see them. And slowly, I began to choose differently. Not big dramatic changes, just small decisions that felt true to me. Decisions that weren't about proving anything, but about living honestly. It wasn't easy. Sometimes I felt restless. Sometimes I wondered if I was wasting time while everyone else kept running. But every time I slowed down, I felt a little more human again. At one point, I realized something important. Slowing down didn't mean I was falling behind. It simply meant I was moving in the right direction. Life isn't a race. It's a journey. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is stop. Breathe, observe, and choose again. Maybe you felt the same way. Maybe you've been tired in a way that sleep couldn't fix. Maybe you've carried the weight of expectations until you forgot what it feels like to breathe freely. If that's you, let me tell you something I wish someone had told me earlier. Feeling tired doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're failing. It simply means your body and your heart are asking for gentleness. There is nothing wrong with resting. There is nothing wrong with stepping back. There is nothing wrong with saying, I can't keep running like this. Sometimes, stopping is the most powerful act of courage. So here's my invitation for you. Try slow, wing down, not forever, just for one day. Turn off the noise. Put aside the race. Take a moment to look around, and maybe even look inside. You might discover something you've been missing. You might hear your own voice again. You might even find a piece of yourself you thought was lost. That's what this space is about. This channel isn't about quick fixes or perfect lives. It's about mistakes, lessons, and the small choices that help us live with more peace, more clarity, and more truth. And if you've been carrying a story of your own, something that hurt you, shaped you, or taught you a lesson, don't keep it hidden. If you want your story to become a source of light for someone else, or even a gentle warning, don't hesitate to share it with me. You can send me your story by email, and maybe we'll talk about it here together, because every story deserves to be heard. Thank you for listening to this very first episode. If you felt something resonate, I hope you'll stay with me. Week by week, we'll learn how to slow down, and maybe how to live more fully.